And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Regen Circle. Like every Thursday, we are popping in here and share a little bit about regenerative culture, the different topics, going deep on the different areas of our society that needs to be regenerated. So far, since we started doing this, we have got into the topic of regenerative living. Then we did regenerative education. Now we're doing regenerative economy. All these pillars already exist in our society. However, they're not benefiting us, humans, animals, planet. So we are regenerating this in different ways. The topic of today, regenerative economy, we are reevaluating what economy means, what is happening in the world with it, and how to regenerate it. And with that said, the idea of the Regen Circle every week is for us, the community of regenerative leaders come together to pinpoint the areas where we can improve in our lives, in our projects, and therefore share the information outwards to the world so we can keep expanding consciousness, keep expanding the movement, the action taking. Many of us know that the solutions are out there already. Everything exists for us to build the world we know is possible, a beautiful, harmonious, abundant world where everyone, every single living being can thrive. And we just need leaders. We just need us to step it up, organize, figure things out, and take action. With that said, the first half of this circle is about sharing the deepness of the topic, regenerative economy today. And the next half, we're going to share with our community different ideas of what's happening, what's the experience so far for each, and how can we improve. And that's how we move forward as a community, how to pinpoint our weaknesses in a way and how we can fine tune them and take the next steps to keep moving forward, to keep growing. So, with that said, let's start. Regenerative economy. How does this start in the movement in the world? Is when we observe that economy is not serving us, then we want to take further action, like I mentioned. And then going to the history of how economy goes into the understanding and the awareness of us, Charles Eisenstein really pinpointed beautifully how economy is started. And it starts with life. Life just began as a gift, and everything is a gift in life. We're surrounded by trees and fruits and animals. Everyone, every single element of nature is providing something to the ecosystem as a gift without expecting anything in return, just giving in abundance, just giving from the heart. And as humans, somewhere in our existence, for thousands of years, we've been working in harmony with nature, and then boom, we stopped. We started with the idea that we have to have property. We have we have to own things. I own my first tool that helped me hunt. I own the first piece of land that I realize nobody can touch it, and I have to pee around it just like the animals do so they can feel ownership. And from there on, a lot of things been happening. Hence the wars of wanting to gather more power, more resources, and it became an addiction. And now, when we see ourselves in today's world, this banking system started with the idea of like holding gold for us and use these notes, this agreement for us to say, okay, let's exchange goods and services with this agreement, this paper, this signature that represents authority. It represents legitimacy, that this is real and I have gold in the bank and you can use this for us to exchange goods and services. And because of that, we started not trusting each other more and fading away the economy from what it was trust. We faded away into building an economy that makes us think that money is the representation of life, makes us think that the more money we gather, we are more abundant. So since then, I started understanding sacred economy. Sacred economy as a sense of, oh, why can't we go back, or why can't we evolve toward living a world with no money? Can you believe it? Can you even imagine it? Can you realize that that is possible? So living in a community, living on an eco village, that is possible. Maybe we need money for the outer world, but between a community, between the neighbors here, we can exchange goods and services with no money, just with trust. Just because that person needs it, I'm going to build something for that person because I want that person to be good, okay, healthy, or I want that person to thrive, or it needs a tool or something that I can provide for that person to continue doing their work. And therefore, all of us doing that will naturally build a system of each other growing and thriving based on love, based on each other giving towards the whole goal, the more long-term goal. However, we live in a banking system where apparently money is printed out of thin air, in the sense that there is no gold in the banks, and we have been manipulated to the idea that we have to make money to live. We need the money to buy things and to work, and that's true to a certain extent now, but at the same time, we don't really need it. Kind of like, do we really need computers right now to live? Unless we create a reality where we do need computers to live, then that's a different story. So we have the power to create the reality that we want. So if we're going to let ourselves be driven by the idea that those in power want to continue creating the reality for us, then they're going to create the reality for us and we just follow like a sheep. Or do we want to co-create the reality for the best of us, for us to thrive together and not feel limited and not feel like we have to achieve something outside of us, but rather activate what we already have in? So there's so much to talk about in terms of how it used to be and what's happening right now and the problems that we see. So therefore, the solutions is us coming up with different ways, a diversity of ways of economy. So hence, economy does not mean money. Economy is relationships. Economy is resources that we can call it resources, but elements and tools and yeah, elements that we can work with to thrive or to co-create something. So with that said, there are the old school way, bartering. A lot of people are afraid of that, feeling that bartering is not necessarily equal, but we are the ones that choose what's the value to it. And if we both agree on it and we're both happy with it, then we can barter, no problem. There is Time Bank. Time Bank is amazing. You can go to timebanks.org and you can exchange time between other people. 1 hour equal 1 hour. You can be a doctor doing a 1 hour session, or you can be a salsa dancer doing a 1 hour session. They both need each other to get better at something, become healthier, grow better, so that they have the same value. It doesn't work with everything all the time, but it's another option to exchange goods and services. There's crypto. Crypto is not about investing. The whole idea of Bitcoin being created is not about us putting the money there and not touch it and let it be there for years as a asset to invest. The main idea of Bitcoin is for us to exchange goods and services without being tracked privately and peer to peer with no banks. And that in the years has been manipulated and diverted to something else completely. And now the governments want to take over and want to make you think that it's a autonomous system, but they're still using a third party to use the money. There's social coin. Social coin, we started in Ecuador, a beautiful project where now 150 people, a little more, are exchanging goods and services. And it's beautiful to see that we can create a coin with an app. And with the app, we just say, hey, how much is the produce for me to take 20, we call it muyus, 20 muyus. Muyu means seed in Quechua. And you can buy produce, you can buy just elements like a refrigerator, couch, table. You can buy clothing. You can hire a tutor, teacher for your kids to teach whatever. You can take your car to the mechanic. They take muyus. You can go to the dentist. There's a dentist that you can pay for with muyu. So the opportunity here is to explore, to take that risk in a way, because a risk means that you don't know what's going to happen. You also are somewhat afraid because you're not used to. You may be thinking that, oh, how is it possible that I won't use money from a bank? That's almost impossible. It's like, of course we can't do that. We can create our own money. We can create our own economic system fully. And that's what regeneration is. Yeah. So there is, those are the most powerful ones. And at the same time, let us not be limited by there's no technology to do it. Let's say there's no technology. We can create a system between us based on paper. And that's how we started Muyu. We started with an Excel sheet just before we did it. We went to an app. And likewise, before even using the Excel sheet, there's social coins created with different elements that it could be, of course, metals are the coins that we are used to, but you can create different chips, I would say, or before ancient times, there used to be seeds. And the idea here is that the more we practice it, the better we get, but at the same time, we don't have to get so complicated with things and kind of let ourselves be taken of the idea that we have to be perfect and it has to be accurate. We think that everything has to be mathematical accurate. If we trust from our heart how we can relate with each other, then we can exchange goods and services for all of us to thrive without the need of the idea of measuring everything all the time. Because the only thing we want to do, to why we want to measure, is because we want to see how much we can grow, how much we can accumulate, how much we can compete with the other and get better with the other. So we complicate ourselves. And trusting is amazing. So, for example, music. Music works with numbers, but do we really have to count to feel the music? Right? If you're a musician, if you're an artist, you can feel the music, even though it has numbers. You don't have to count. You already know. You already know when the next beat is coming, on the 4th, on the 8th, on the 16th. Same thing on the trees. The trees we can have 100 apples in one tree, hundreds of apples. Do we have to count them? Each apple has many seeds. Do we have to count them? It's just abundant. It's just giving. And therefore, if we just focus on giving, we don't have to be scared of not receiving. I already gave 10 apples and I'm not receiving anything in return. What's happening? No, because when we are elevated with love, our conscious mind is elevated to the collective consciousness, then we can give and give and give. And by default, we receive. And I don't have to count how much I give, and I don't have to count how much I'm receiving. And that's deep. That's deep. It's just a universal consciousness doing the mathematical work for us. And no computer and no mind start wanting to control everything. We just trust, right? So the idea of us measuring everything and make it science is just, we kind of lose our way. And not that I'm against science. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be perfect all the time because it already is if we let it be. Wow, that's deep. I don't even know how I said that. Thank you so much for listening. I want to invite someone here, friend Josie, that she has somewhat experience and maybe some challenges of what regenerative economy is for her and how has she been navigating it and how we can help improve that. And then I can also share some of my examples and where to go about that. And if you are watching this, leave a question or comment in the chat or contact us later so we can help improve the regenerative economy around the world. And hence, regenerative economy is also being improved throughout technology, and that's amazing. There's regenerative finance, which you can already finance through technology in a regenerative way. And we can go deeper on that, but it's not only about that. There is much more, and economy for us is relationships and how we can improve. Yeah. All right, Josie, ready? Let's do this. Hola.
Hi, hola.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having the chance to listen and to learn about all this stuff. Unfortunately, you were cutting out a lot for me during that, so I got like a lot of little chunks of what you said, and but I didn't get the whole flow, unfortunately.
All is good. All is good. So basically, we talked a little bit about the history of about economy overall, and then what's
Mhm.
happening in the world with economy and how can we regenerate it a little bit, and the
Mhm.
awareness of us trusting the universe in terms of us gifting our talent, our love to the world, to the people, and therefore the universe just gives back by default. And we don't have to be
Yeah.
counting and giving and making sure everything's perfect by actually being part of the system, the ecosystem, the world system in which we have a relationship with each other that we exchange goods and services and talents and gifts and that just happens on its own. So my question for you here is what is your experience with regenerative economy and overall wanting to practice this and challenges? Tell us a little about that.
Well, I haven't had a bank account for about I want to say 5 or 6 years now, and so I've been dealing predominantly in cash and some in barter, and then a lot in gift, and that it's difficult for a lot of people and for me as well because it's kind of hard to explain. So like when you have all the money you want and you can go to the store and you can pick out each individual item that you want and you can take it home and you can make whatever that special meal is that you were planning, that's like one experience of economy. And then there's also an experience of economy where you go and volunteer at a local food bank and there's like all these local produce that's coming in and you get to share it with other people and you get to take some home to your family. And then you get to look at what you were given and say, what am I going to make out of this? What can I, how can I put all these things together to make something for my family that's going to, nourish them and it's going to nourish your soul too because you just volunteered at a food bank and helped a lot of other people to also receive that benefit. So, and when that happens, you're relying a lot more on, like some people call it synchronicity or whatever that is, and so you're it's a leap of faith, and it's really tricky, and it can even be tricky when you've been doing it for years. It's not like it's just a perfect system, but it's a leap of faith to know that energy exchange is how it all works. It's the underlying principle. And so when I put something out into the world, into the universe, into my community, I know that that value exists and it's real and it's going to come back to me in the way that I need it at the time that I need it. And so that's not always going to be what it maybe like if you wrote down a perfect plan for how you wanted everything to go, it might not line up exactly with that. But it's more like trusting that you're going to get exactly what you need to be exactly where you are at exactly the right time. And when you live that way, it can be, like I said, a leap of faith, but you also just, you feel like, like I'm right where I should be. This is, you feel it. You feel like you're in the flow. And that's a really beautiful experience to have, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for doing that. What made you stop having a bank account and going that route?
Well, I actually rescinded my citizenship about 5 or 6 years ago, around the same time, and for me that was just an experience of sending back all of the identification that I had ever owned, because that wasn't my property; it was their property. So I sent it back to the Secretary of State, to the IRS, to whoever it was that had issued that document. That was their property, and I'm no longer associated with it. And so um, I rescinded my citizenship, and ever since then, I've been very meticulous about making sure that, because if you're gonna abandon the person, the citizen, you can't then go and try to claim citizen benefits or to try and participate in these systems, like, because to me that feels, I mean, it feels a little bit like cheating, I guess. Like, you want some of the benefits, but you don't want all of the responsibilities, and it's like you kind of have to have it one way or the other. And I don't judge people for whatever systems they participate in, whether it be the legacy systems or these parallel systems that we're creating, or anything that people choose. This is what I chose, and I know a lot of people may choose for various reasons to stay in the legacy systems. And as long as you're consistent with that, I think is where you tend to have smoother sailing. Whereas when you tend to start contradicting and like saying one thing and doing another thing, then you kind of get yourself in hot water, both legally and in other ways as well. And so, I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. So when you, I appreciate that you highlight that, because it's important to understand that why we don't want to participate with the legal system. So, okay, some people can choose to do so, but it's good, even though they're choosing so, they know that there are other options. And why these other options are important is because over the generations, we have been taught to believe that we need to depend on the system and the money and the banking. And therefore, without us even realizing, we've been giving power. These governments and corporations have been gaining power over the generations, over and over and over, because we give it to them. We give it to them. Like, here, here it is. And they make us feel afraid that if we don't pay taxes, something bad is going to happen. If we don't
Mhm.
pay the banks, something bad is going to happen. If we don't have good credit, something really bad is going to happen. You're not going to be able to live. And the more we use the fiat currency in every transaction through any of the systems, the more power we're giving it to them.
Mhm.
So, like myself and you, and one of the big ones is Derek Bros, also,
Mhm.
like, okay, let's stop using the bank and let's get out of it. And we do it. And of course it's challenging. Of course there is things that you really need to help grow, help spread the word of the work that we're doing. But we need to use a card for this and a card for that. So then we're asking our relatives, hey, let me use your bank account for 1 second here. Let me use your
I'm not gonna
uh
say I've never done that. So it's like I'm not a purist. It's not like that, but right, to the best of my ability, I eliminate it wherever possible. And something
and
came to me while you were saying that, and not only, so the interesting thing is when you stop using a bank, and I wonder if you've had this experience as well. When I stopped using the banks, it correlated with me not working a quote unquote regular job, and therefore my time was then freed, and I structured it in a way so that I could obviously provide for everything that I needed, but now I could structure my time how I wanted to, and I could give my energy to the projects and to the missions and the manifestations that I wanted to give it to, without having to think about, well, how am I going to do this, how am I going to do this without having a job.
totally, it's challenging, and therefore having options. So it's kind of like we we are there to play the game. We are here to play the game. So as much as possible, let's not be part of the system that degenerates everything. It's contaminating, exploiting, and everything. So every time we use the fiat currency, it has a big impact because we're feeding the government corporation system that is extraction, exploiting, and financing the wars, basically, right?
Exactly.
So every single cent, every single dollar. So the less we do that, the better. So I learned to have a diversity as much as I can, wherever I can, use cash. Even if you're using cash or even if you're using a card, where are you using it? Are you using it directly to a small business, to a local store? Um, so stepping away from the corporations, the big platforms, all of this as much as possible. We want to reduce giving them more power. Let's keep the power within our community, our circle, and that's a regenerative act. If we want to take it further, let's start our own coin. Let's start our own banking system, our own decentralized blockchain, whatever system
Hmm.
that we can exchange goods and services peer to peer, and and get our needs done. So
Exactly.
that is power right there. Like we're not talking power over, but let's take it back. We've have this power, and there's more of us. So if we boycott Amazon, for example, one of the biggest stores of the world, and we do it on the biggest day of the year, which is Black Friday, right? Black Friday for Amazon is like, whoa, it's like the biggest sales day for the entire year. If we boycott, it's like, hey, for one day, please don't buy anything on Amazon. Boom, that's huge. For one
Exactly.
day, for one day, let's actually, instead of just not buying on Amazon, let's support the local producers, and that's a whole nother shift. For that one day, let's all use a different coin. That's a huge power right there. So we realize that we have the power for regenerating the economy around the world. And we're talking about money, but furthermore, economy is not just money. It's relationships. It's the resources. It's the spaces. It's the places where we at. So yeah.
That's
So
exactly right, because I thought too is like, how can I have something of value without necessarily having money or having like a real estate asset or something like this? Is like having a relationship, let's say with someone near you who grows food, like that's an incredibly important relationship. If you can provide something in that relationship, if anything ever does happen where, there's some kind of shutdown and you can't get food in the store or something like that, you can go to your friend and be like, hey, I'll give you this. Can you give me this? And like, the more of those kind of relationships you have, the more protected you are from an economical crisis without needing to make $1 billion first.
exactly. That reminds me, with the coin we created in Ecuador, it's called Muyu. We started
Mm-hmm.
in 2015. In 2015, a friend and I said, "Hey, let's gather some people and start this new coin. Let's do it." So we started promoting it here and there, and started bringing people in. 3 people came, and we're like, "Let's start it. Let's start it." And with the 3 people, doesn't matter. Um, yeah, it kind of fade away, and they were not too interested because we were so low on number. And we're like, okay, whatever. And then in 2020, the pandemic hit, and that's was like, whoa, we definitely need to create a coin. Let's do it. And people start moving around, and it made it happen. Like the community made it happen. Like I didn't even have to do much. Everyone started organizing with uh, an Excel sheet, no coin, nothing. Let's meet every weekend on online, because we can only meet online, right? And then it's okay. Let's meet online. And what do you offer? Oh, I offer this. Okay, I want it. So it's like a whole 30 minutes of like the offers, and another 30 minutes is like who wants it, and start making in the chat. And then we write down on the Excel, okay, wait. So now it's like so easy to use, and it's like we see it grow, and it could grow even more. And that's the invitation for all of us to take the lead and start acting upon a regenerative economy where wherever you are, you can already support the locals, participate with the locals or the farms or the producers and exchange your goods and services between each other as a bartering system first. First, you try bartering if possible, because you don't have to use any of the money. And then the money, if you need cash, better. If you have to use a card, better. And then if you have a coin that you can use in the community, amazing. So yeah, tell me what are the challenges that,
Congratulations for that, man.
yeah, yeah, I can see a world where we can all have our own different coins, and wherever we travel, we can just link up with people that have their own coins and make it happen. And again, it doesn't have to be crypto.
Right.
It's
Like,
awesome that you
do you have
could,
experience with Tumen?
exactly. It's Muyu is the same like Tumen. It's
Oh,
a
okay,
social,
great. That's okay,
yeah, it's a social coin. So you can create
great.
your own coin specifically, and then Tumen is basically the same. It's a community that just uses their coin and they can communicate with each other and exchange goods and services like that.
That's
So
awesome.
Tumen is amazing. So there's so many, like almost every country has at least one coin out there like that, making it happen. In South America, there's in Colombia and Argentina and Bolivia, Europe as well. And it's important to link up, look it up, and find it and use it and expand it. And if there isn't, then start one. So
Right.
yeah. So what challenges were you going through with people trying to exchange goods and services in your area? You're in Mexico, right?
I'm in Mexico now. I've been in Mexico for about a year and a half. So I was in the
Yeah.
U.S. before that. And especially in the U.S., it's like it's getting crazy. Like some places say they don't even take cash anymore, and like they only take card. And I mean, that's the last time I checked, that was illegal, but people are doing it, I guess. And here in Mexico, it's actually far easier. I was actually just thinking because I'm a vendor at a local market, and in the United States, I would have to worry about how am I going to take card because 90% of people are going to try and pay with card. And here in Mexico, there is transferencia, and some people do use that. But when I go to the market, I actually have not. I think one time in like 6 markets, I had someone ask me if they could do transferencia, and no one tried to use a card. Everyone just has cash and they use cash. They expect to use cash, and so it's like it is a much easier to get away with here in Mexico, I guess. And that's one of the reasons that I like living here. But um, yeah, just some of the challenges would be like you can't get this particular brand of something if that's what you wanted, or maybe you have to like instead of buying a commercial product, you have to maybe buy the ingredients and make it yourself or something like this. You can't get a loan to do things that you want to do, obviously, which is actually I think healthy because going into debt is like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't had debt in a while, and I'm really glad for that because I see some people who are deep in debt. And anyway, so like not having a card, you can't even get into that, and so you don't have that stress of like how am I going to pay this back? How am I? Because then you have to think about the job again, and like then you have to worry about putting your energy there. And so just kind of curating, like knowing local people who do different things. So like participating in the market is really easy because I go to this market and I see some of the best products that are available in my area, and I know all the people who made them, and I can ask them questions about it, and that's been really beneficial. So even if you're not like a vendor at a market, just going to a local market and finding these products and talking to the people who make them is a great way to do that. And often they're going to be flexible on how they take payment because they just want to get paid. And so, um, yeah, I think that finding that in the local community is one of the best ways to do it. I mean, there's little small businesses you can participate in online as well, but then you have to have the bank account and all that. So, um, I
Hmm.
hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. I right now in Ecuador, I think Mexico and Ecuador, it'll take some time to make everything digital because people really know the importance of cash.
Not
And
only that, but the infrastructure isn't here to enforce it. Like nobody cares really.
yeah, definitely. And Ecuador is they're pushing it. They're pushing it in the banks
Awesome.
like the transferencia, right? For the transferencia with to transfer bank to bank, it's actually very uncomfortable to use a transfer. And this was available in the last few years, maybe 5 years, that started becoming a thing. the transferencia. Before you couldn't do that because it was traditional. You had to go to the bank and make the line and deposit. But now you can online, you can do the transferencia on the phone. It takes some time because you need all the details from that person that you don't have. So it takes like another 10, 15 minutes just to make the transferencia. And people really want to avoid it. So it's like, okay, let's do the cash. But a lot of people also realize there's no cash. It's easier to do the transferencia 10, 15 minutes right now than going to the bank and get some cash because there's a long line. So it's like, right. But now in the banks, they're asking, because I also avoid opening a bank account. I went to check it out. It's like, hey, in order to use the banking system online, they want your digital face, your face recognition in Ecuador. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I'm out of here. so
Exactly.
so I'm like, yeah, figuring other ways, like old school. But people culturally is already used to the cash and the importance of cash, and they keep the cash under the bed, in the couch, excuse me, in the mattress. And it's important to value that now more than ever. And the highlight of why this is important, and we've talked about a little bit before, because we're giving them more power. And they're sneaking in this new CBDC thing. Maybe you heard of that.
Yeah.
Central banking digital currency, that they want the whole world to use the same banking system for us to be tracked on every single transaction, everything decision that we make. And that links with the digital ID and CBDC, and then the health passport. Like, so they know
Mm-mm.
everything, who you are, what's happening with you. And I've talked with people, and some people are like, so that's convenient. Like, that's all right. Why? I don't have nothing to hide. It's like, whoa, well, I'm sure you're a good person, but also, why are we giving all this power to those people for them to know everything about us, when it should be backwards? We are hiring the public servants, the presidents and the politicians. We are hiring them so they can help us live a more structured, organized system, world, city, whatever. We should know more about them than they should know more about us. And so therefore we want to reevaluate that and question and understand why are they doing this, and then anticipate what are the probabilities of them having so much power. So with that said, like, I'm not afraid of anything, but at the same time, I'm not afraid of anything, I not have nothing to hide. But at the same time, doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel from the heart, a conscious action to let, because we're allowing these people, these corporations, governments, because they can. Just because they can doesn't mean it's a good thing, but they can, and they're doing it. And so like, we're allowing it. So like, we have to stop this. We have to create
You
other
know,
systems to depend on it.
it's not only that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
It's not
done.
only that, but people like the data industry is making trillions and trillions of dollars off of all this information that they're tracking out of us. And what does that tell you fundamentally? It's how valuable you are. And so why would you give that value to a corporation who's giving you nothing, who's taking everything from you, when you could give it to your community, you could give it to the people around you, you could give it to your family, you could give it back to yourself. That's your value. You can do what you want with it.
Exactly. So data is one of the most valuable things on earth, more than gold.
Hmm.
And the attention that we are giving toward whatever we're giving it to, and most of humanity are putting attention to the narrative that they have wanting us to believe. What is that? The wars, the power over, the dramas, the
Hmm.
fear. And the more attention we give to that, the more we'll continue to create it.
Hmm.
So we're talking about economy here. It's like, Our economic system goes beyond money. It's our attention, the value of our attention, the value of our existence toward something. So the deeper we go, and this you can go really deep on the quantum physics of it, because our consciousness, each and every human consciousness, has the power to create the reality. And wherever we put our attention to, we create that reality. And those that want to be in power, I don't say those in power because they're not in power. Those that want to be, but they can't, they know this. So they, with the media, we're talking about since stories were back in the indigenous times, stories are so powerful. But then the newspaper came in, the newspaper, then the radio, then the TV, then the movies, and the all this programming. So all this programming created a reality that we live in today, thinking that this is it. These houses that look like boxes with the lawns, and the buildings that are like rectangular boxes, and the cement all over the place, and no trees. And that's the reality that's what we have created as a human society unconsciously, because a few of them wanted it to be that way. So that's the value what we are recognizing. So it's not the money, it's not us being wanting to be millionaires, or the whole thing of being millionaires is just kind of ridiculous, because we already have everything we want. We already have it. It's inside of us, it's all around us. But the more we fall into the system, we believe that we don't have, or we're poor. And therefore, we let it happen. But we have the power. We can create, and we can completely regenerate this entire system by our personal lifestyles. My lifestyle, your lifestyle, my culture in Ecuador, your culture, culture in Mexico, culture in Canada, culture in UK, or culture in India, culture in Morocco. All the cultures can be regenerative, but the belief systems from each culture, they have some great stuff, but they also have a lot of things that need to be shedded away. So that's what we're doing here at the Regenerative Culture Movement. Regenerative word, the word regenerative is really powerful. It's being expanded all over the world. A lot of movements are growing with this word, and I appreciate it so much. And us being part of it, making sure that we are co-creating with it, is important, because a lot of people wait for someone to come and do it for us. A lot of people say, oh, some president someday is going to help us, or maybe a spiritual leader someday is going to come and is going to take us out of this suffering. When we have the power, we have the recognition, we recognize ourselves, where we can do it, we can co-create together. We can step up out of the comfort zone of whatever we believe, shed away those patterns of thought that we've had, that we think we're limited, and start exploring, start having fun. Hey, I don't know what economy is, but I would love to exchange something with you. Awesome. You know, and next week we're going to talk about regenerative business. Regenerative business. All businesses can be regenerative. Most, if not all, the businesses are degenerative, exploiting the land, exploiting the people, and manipulating the idea that what we're buying, we need it. And the more reduced the price of the cost of the production, the more money I make as a business, right? So that's not business either. Business is the idea of being in service to others, to helping. And business is not the more money you make. So we have lost the way, in a way, about what things actually mean. So the word regenerative comes in, is like, wait, regenerative, let's regenerate this and regenerate that and regenerate this. And let's make it happen. So yeah, I'm so happy to be part of this.
Me too, yeah, and it's interesting because I love words as well, and the regenerate thing is kind of the opposite, or it's kind of the undoing of tradition in a lot of ways. Not that all traditions are bad, like you said, but they definitely need to be revisited. And the word tradition actually comes from the Latin traducere, which means to betray, and I think that's really telling.
Yeah, to betray.
To betray.
And
It's almost like you started doing something and you did it for so long that you're eventually going to betray the original purpose why you did it. It's just that's just the way we've always done it, you know? I don't know, but I just think that's so interesting. The root word is traducer, to betray.
so culture is the accumulation of a group of people practicing a certain habit. You feel me? That's what
Hmm.
culture is right now. But culture started also the word meaning to cultivate the land. And then it evolved to be to cultivate the people and the lives of everyone. And then now it's like culture is considered like, oh, culture is music, culture is art, culture is the clothing of a certain region, culture is the language of certain people from different regions. So when we observe Mexico, for example, we all love Mexico food, right? That's the culture of Mexico food. And the clothing, man, like Mexicanos, they're so passionate, so proud of being Mexican. It's amazing. They have, I go over there and they're like, they speak really Mexican style. They dress really Mexican style. Everywhere they go, they listen to the Mexican music. And as soon as they get to eat their Mexican tacos and their Mexican food, they love it. And that's the culture. That's their culture. And how did that become? Because in a certain region, someone cooked something delicious and the neighbor cooked something delicious that was related to it, and they start repeating, oh, this is beautiful. And a lot of the people in that region start cooking that same soup, for example. And someone designed a beautiful shirt. Some people in that region repeated that pattern, and that represented their culture. It's kind of like a tribe. That's what it is. Like when you love your space, your place, your home, you love it, you love your people, you start identifying yourself with it and you express it outwards. So the more I practice that in my culture, and now let's say more of a global culture that's being driven by what it is, it's a plastic bottle water culture, having a trash can culture, buying an Amazon culture is a culture. Why? Because we repeat it so many times, and many people repeat that. So that's the culture. But if we bring our bottled water, stainless steel water, bottled water, this is, oh, I'm from a culture that uses this bottle. I'm from a culture that uses this shirt that's linen instead of a plastic polyester shirt, and things like that. So the more we repeat something, boom, becomes that culture. Now tradition, it's a culture over generations, right? So
Exactly.
that's why we consider like, oh, it's the tradition from that culture. So the tradition
Hmm.
means like, oh, that's generational. Yeah, it's like a legacy almost, right?
Right.
So that's where we want to understand where we at. So if we practice something right now, it can last thousands of generations. There's right now you can still feel, even in Mexico, cultures from thousands of years ago still are alive in that land, and nothing physical exists. Well, of course, some ruins and everything, but there's still wisdom. There's still the energy. There's still life somehow that we can't see. That ancient culture is still around. So that that's important to realize. Therefore, we can take action. We can move forward with what's happening in the world. So that's what is about in a nutshell about economy. There's of course more to talk about, and we can go deeper on a different session. Every week we are here on the Regen Circle talking about all things regenerative culture, and we will revisit regenerative economy in the future, of course, with a deeper topic within and bringing other guests, invitation to other people with their experiences, some people with more experience, some people that are new coming up with ideas. So, yeah. Anything else, Hermana Josie, you want to share before we go?
Just remember that attention is energy, and that's the real currency of the universe. So where you put your attention is where your energy goes, and that's really what's gonna bring you more of whatever it is that you want or you don't want. So
Perfect, beautifully said. Yeah. And that attention can be resonating with the heart. So the more we beat our heart and resonate outwards with that attention, that's what we're creating around us. And a lot of things can be happening outside in the world, but what each and every one of us are creating, resonating with that love and where we put our attention, that's what we're creating. And the more we practice, the more we do, the better we get. And yeah, trust. Let's trust that.
exactly. And thank you so
Mhm.
much for having me. I really resonated with like having this chat with you. I haven't been activated like this in a while, and it feels good. I'm excited to be a part of this community, and just thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. So you are new in the community, and I want to invite others to come in too. We have a community of regenerative leaders that started a little bit ago. We did a soft launch, and the big launch is June 25th, open to the public. And what this is about is for us to start really practicing those regenerative habits in our daily lives, connect with the principles, connect with pillars of our society, connect with other people around the world that are taking action, learning from each other, kind of like a mastermind, and organizing ourselves and really moving forward to the world that we know is possible from the heart. It's happening. There's thousands and millions of people already taking action. I don't have to count, but I can already feel it. And if you learn how to look, you'll see it, you'll find it, and you can connect and co-create together. So yeah, I appreciate you, Josie. Thank you for connecting.
Thank you
I
so much.
let you go. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Please stay tuned for what's to come. The Regen Circle is happening every week, every Thursday. We also have our Substack channel where we post really important, deep articles about regenerative culture in the different areas. Check that out because there's some really important information. If you are new in the movement or if you're already advanced, there's definitely something for you to just take advantage and connect with. Also, contact me anytime so we can collaborate. We also have our YouTube channel, is pretty new with some other interviews on different areas. We also have a Telegram channel. I really like our Telegram. It's really intimate and go deeper on topics as well. So yeah, I like Instagram to connect because I have friends and family there. But in terms of platform, I don't know why I can't just keep it going there in the communication. And also our newsletter. That's where everything happens. We have 1,700 people subscribed on our newsletter. That's a lot. That's something that we have slowly been building together. It's a beautiful community. I want to invite you to that. There's so much shared in there. And stay tuned for what's to come. We're co creating a lot of beautiful things in this regenerative world. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. I love myself. You can also say you love yourself too. Don't forget that. And we'll stay in touch for the next time around. Muchas gracias. Peace, love, and prosperity to all. Yeah.